She didn't stop caring the day she left. She stopped caring the day she realized nothing changed, no matter how quietly she waited. This isn't about drama. This isn't about manipulation. This is what happens inside the mind when emotional effort goes unanswered for too long. By the time she becomes silent, her nervous system has already learned one lesson. Depending on you feels unsafe. And once the brain learns that, it doesn't argue anymore, prepares to detach. The moment emotional neglect enters a relationship, it doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't break things all at once. It enters quietly, and by the time it's noticed, her behavior has already changed. This is where most people get confused. They think she suddenly became distant. They think she changed her attitude. They think she lost feelings overnight. But emotional neglect never works like that. It works slowly, invisibly, patiently, and once it finishes its work, the woman you knew is already gone, even if her body is still there. Emotional neglect is not about shouting, cheating, or obvious disrespect. It is about absence where presence was needed. It is about moments where she reached emotionally and felt nothing come back. At first, she tries to compensate. She explains herself more clearly. She gives benefit of the doubt. She lowers expectations. She tells herself, maybe he's tired. Maybe he doesn't mean it. Maybe I'm overthinking. This stage is invisible to most people because she still looks normal. She still replies. She still cares. She still shows effort. But internally, something dangerous has started. Her nervous system begins adapting to emotional loneliness. Every unanswered emotional bid trains her brain one thing. Depending here is unsafe, and the human mind always adapts to what feels unsafe. So she adjusts not consciously but neurologically. She stops sharing small things first. Then she stops explaining how she feels. Then she stops reacting the same way. This isn't manipulation. This is self-preservation. Here's the part people misunderstand the most. She doesn't change because she stopped loving. She changes because loving started hurting. When emotional neglect repeats, the brain rewires attachment. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, stops releasing the same way. Cortisol, the stress hormone, starts taking its place. So now, instead of feeling warmth around you, she feels tension. Instead of safety, she feels alertness. Instead of closeness, she feels guarded. That's why her behavior shifts. She becomes quieter, not because she has nothing to say, but because she learned saying it doesn't matter. She becomes less expressive, not because she's cold, but because expression no longer feels received. She becomes more independent, not because she doesn't need you, but because she had to learn how to survive emotionally without you. This is where many people make the fatal mistake. They notice her pulling back, and they pull back too. They think, fine, if she doesn't care, I won't either. But what they don't realize is, she didn't stop caring. She stopped reaching. And there is a massive difference. Emotional neglect teaches her a dangerous lesson. Closeness is one-sided, so she adapts by closing parts of herself. Not all at once, piece by piece. The playful part goes first, then the vulnerable part, then the affectionate part, What remains is a version of her that functions but doesn't bond. From the outside, she may still look calm, but internally, attachment has already thinned. This is why later, when she finally leaves, people say, "It came out of nowhere." No, it came from months, sometimes years of emotional absence. By the time she emotionally disconnects fully, she has already mourned the relationship silently. She processed the loss while still inside it. She cried alone. She rationalized alone. She let go alone. So when she finally changes behavior noticeably, when she becomes distant, firm, or detached, she is not beginning the process. She is finishing it. And here's the hardest truth to accept. Once emotional neglect reshapes her behavior, love alone cannot fix it. Because what broke wasn't romance. It was emotional safety. Without emotional safety, attachment cannot stay alive. This is why emotional neglect is far more damaging than arguments. Arguments show engagement. Neglect shows abandonment. And the mind responds to abandonment by detaching, quietly, intelligently, and permanently. If you're watching this and recognizing these patterns, understand this. Behavior change is not the problem. It is the symptom. The cause was emotional absence long before silence arrived. And once her nervous system learns that emotional closeness here leads to emptiness, it will choose distance every time. That is how emotional neglect changes her behavior. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but so deeply that by the time you notice, she is already emotionally elsewhere. And when a woman reaches that stage, no apology fixes what presence could have prevented. There is a moment most people never notice. It's not when she argues. It's not when she cries. It's not even when she pulls away. It's when nothing feels urgent to her anymore. That is the moment attachment quietly collapses. When emotional neglect repeats, the brain does something very specific. It stops investing energy where outcomes feel unpredictable. This isn't emotional weakness. It's neurological efficiency. Her mind begins to reallocate attention away from the relationship, not out of anger, but out of self-preservation. At this stage, she doesn't test you loudly. She tests patterns. She watches how quickly you notice her absence, whether your effort is consistent or reactive. If your care appears only when distance appears, and most importantly, whether you feel safe or uncertain over time. This is where many misunderstand what's happening. They think she's becoming calm. What's actually happening is emotional decoupling. Her nervous system starts operating as if she is already alone, even while still present. That's why she no longer over-explains. She doesn't chase reassurance. She stops correcting behavior, because correction is an act of hope, and hope requires evidence. When evidence doesn't arrive, the brain closes the loop. Here's the part almost no one talks about. Once she emotionally detaches, she no longer wants to be convinced. Late effort feels unstable. Sudden intensity feels unsafe. Apologies feel like signals, not solutions. Her mind has already logged the relationship under unreliable emotional environment. And once something is categorized that way, reopening it requires more than words. It requires predictability over time, something most people only attempt when it's already too late. This is why the ending often feels sudden to the other person. But to her, it was a long, quiet process. She didn't wake up one day and stop caring. She slowly learned how to care without depending on you. And once that happens, the relationship doesn't end with conflict. It ends with clarity. Most people think relationships end because someone gave up. They don't. They end because someone adapted. She learned how to stay calm without reassurance, how to feel stable without consistency, how to survive emotionally without being seen. And once that strength is built, love no longer feels necessary to feel whole. That's why the ending feels sudden to you, but inevitable to her. Not because she didn't care, but because she cared long enough to stop needing proof. If this made sense to you, sit with it, because understanding what happened is often the first moment real closure begins.